familiar? I hope it does, because it's a single that I released last week, and today we're going to be breaking down the recording and the mixing process on the TASCAM Porta Studio. Here we go. Yeah! Cha! Last week I released a single called Untitled and Left Out. It was left out of the original 4 EPs that you can get on Bandcamp, by the way. One of the commenters in the YouTube comments section asked if I could break down the recording and the mixing process. So I'm going to take the cassettes that I used and we'll play them through the Tascam, and I'll show you exactly what we've got going on here. Let's talk instrumentation. This song features the Roland TR-505 drum machine. It features a bass that's doubled by a Fender Telecaster, and it has 2 rhythm guitar tracks, and then it also has 2 ambient lead guitar tracks, and then in addition to that, the intro is 4 ambient guitars thrown to one side and then delayed on the other, and we're going to talk about each of those elements throughout this video. Let's start chronologically with how I recorded this music and how I've recorded most of the music thus far in the Made on Tape pantheon. When I've been writing these songs, I've been performing a drum track first, and the drum track creates a canvas. I come from the school of thought of form and structure, and so I'll literally lay 8 bars of something here and 8 bars of something there. I like groove music, and the drums are the essential part. And as a drum machine, it's hard to program it afterwards. But without further ado, let's hear what this drum track sounds like. As you can hear, I printed a lot of effects on these drums. This is the raw drum track. I'm not mixing with any effects right now. I would really, really love to, if you're interested, do a video on my technique of hybrid mixing, hybrid recording with the drums and the Apollo as outboard gear. The drum machine has a plate reverb on it. It's got parallel compression. And it also has the space echo delay to give it a little bit more vibrancy. So let's hear that again. I like to use delay on drums to give it more life. Let's bring the bass in. So you can hear that the bass part is layered with the Telecaster, a guitar an octave higher with a little bit of reverb on it. I like to play the bass, line, and then I like to pick up the guitar and play the exact same bass line an octave higher. That's one of my favorite sounds. If you listen to Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer, that's one of my favorite examples of the layering a guitar over a bass. Let's hear that bass line soloed. And I love adding the reverb to the guitar part. Bass is dry, but when you add reverb to the guitar part, you hear how it gives it life. We talked about the drums. I've shown you the drums soloed and the bass part. Next came the rhythm track, the rhythm guitar parts. This song is interesting because I have 2 guitars. Both are playing through the Boss Wazicraft chorus. That's my favorite effect on rhythm guitar. And what's interesting about this music is that I started with just 1 guitar on the first chorus and the first verse. I brought in the second guitar later. So what I ended up doing was, with the first guitar, it's panned right down the center, right from the top. This is the guitar, the bass, and the drums. it continues for the first verse. So that's very basic. Let's hear that solo just quickly. See what I did there? I know I did it quickly, but when the second chorus came, you know, we were down to one guitar, and then the second guitar comes in, and I panned the first guitar to the left and this one to the right. I didn't fully pan these guitar parts. Sometimes I like to do, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock for guitar parts that are still you want a stereo spread, but sometimes, especially with clean guitar tones, I don't like them spread totally. Like hear it spread totally. This is just personal preference. See the difference? Now, part of the reason that I prefer on this song to tighten that panning a little bit is because I knew down the road, goes into the planning aspect, I knew I was going to have more ambient stuff thrown all the way out. So this is the rhythm section track. Fast forward to that little Baroque breakdown. So during that classical breakdown bit, again, I had the drums. The drum machine was a constant click. Let me show you what I mean. See, there's the click, but... And I think... Did I pan these all the way? I might have. And then the drum track comes back in here. And I live faded it. And I pushed it. I love working dynamics with faders. So that's the basic rhythm track. And again, I must reiterate that on this cassette, it's just the rhythm track, and that was bounced to the reel-to-reel. And then I took, and I mixed it with, I think I used a little bit of plate reverb on the rhythm guitars to add a little ambience when I mixed it down. Then I bounced it to 2 tracks on this cassette. I really love these cassettes. They're so cool looking. So let's go over to this cassette that has the full tracked mix. Everything we were just doing on the 4-track is now contained on these 2 tracks alone, which is why they're hard panned left and right. You're gonna get, all the drums, all the bass up the center, and then those rhythm guitars from before panned the way they were when I mixed it down. So that freed me up here with these 2 tracks alone. One of my favorite techniques on the Tascam is internal bouncing. And so what I ended up doing for the intro, as you'll hear in a second, is layer. So starting with a low baritone guitar, that was going through just a phaser pedal. And that kind of gave a meaty bottom. And then I was thinking of that as like the cello. I was basically thinking of like cello, viola, and 2 violins. I would record one. I started on the low part first. I don't remember which track I recorded because then I recorded it here, and then using the, bouncing technique, I made sure that these tracks, pretend I recorded it once on track 1, the first track, and then I added a layer to track 2. So when we were recording on track 2, you would arm the right bus. So you would pan this all the way to the right and this all the way to the right. So what you had just recorded is now going to go here when you hit record. And then I made sure to pan these all the way to the left or even have them off. I didn't need them after the first one. And then I did that again, did it again with this track. And, the same thing here. So I bounced back and forth until I got 4 parts that ended up on track 1. So let's hear what the 4 guitars sound like layered on top of each other. That's just here on track 1. And that's just that track by itself. And so what I thought to do was, oh, well, I've got all these parts layered. So what if I use one of my favorite tape delay techniques? So I sent this track through the tape machine into track number 2. And then, so I copied everything but delay, tape delay. Let's hear what that sounds like soloed. So it sounds pretty similar, right? Now let me bring in the original part. Now it's thicker. But here's what you do. Check it out. What did I do there? As you could hear towards the end of the delay track, the tape delay, I manually, when I was recording, fed back. So you got that fun little feedback happening. And when I did that in the track, I also, as you noticed just now, I kind of centered it. I brought that to the center. And that's how the track kicks off. I think it's really pretty. I'm not just being, not just bragging. I actually really love this sound. To bring in the rhythm section, this is what I did. Sorry, that wasn't balanced. And there were no ambient guitars in that first chorus. Just let the rhythm section go. So now, after all that intro was recorded, now I have 2 tracks to play with. And I ended up using them, again, with the EBO and the Canyon Shimmer Reverb, which is one of my favorite ambient sounds. If you're familiar with my music now at this point, you'll be very familiar with that sound. Yes. Now, I remember what I did mixing this ambient guitar. I did have the Behringer reverb set up as that was my only effects send. And so some of those guitars, if you go back and listen, like right here, you'll notice that they are heavy in reverb, heavy in the distant. I wanted those guitars to feel far away. I love bass and drums being up front in your face. If you have questions about that, please let me know, because it should be pretty straightforward. Your effects send, your effects loop. I've covered that before, but if you have any questions, if I'm seems like I'm going past that and ignoring something really important, I apologize. But yeah, hit me up below. We can talk about the effects send on the TASCAM machine. Same thing here. I sent these to reverb. Check it out. You'll notice all of that buildup of the drums and everything. Since we had already mixed that and brought it back in, I didn't have to do anything to this. I didn't send any effects. It was all done. The dynamics were all in there. I just left these faders right here at the edge of what the Tascam likes. That's the basic breakdown of this track. I really appreciated the question. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it gave you some ideas, and hopefully this is just inspiring some semblance of creativity. That's all that I'm doing here. I'm showing you guys everything. There's no secrets on the Made on Tape channel. I'm not hiding shit, because I don't believe in that. I believe we're all in it together. I'll say it again, say it 1,000 times. We are all in this together, and I mean that as humans, not just as musicians. Human beings, we're all in this together. Don't let me go on this rant. I'm gonna end it there. So with that, as always, peace, and be good to each other. Guys, they got motorcycles.